everything's very intense. Everyone's jobs are on the line, and that's actually the vibes of the EuroLeague. And there was a very nice quote that Augusta suggested us to react to from Nigel Hayes-Davis, who reflected on his experience with the Team USA in the summer. And here's the quote: "The most unbelievable times were on the bench. I was texting my mom or my guys. In Europe, there's always this sense of anger. You sit next to someone and they're yelling because somebody scored. Everyone is mad. The coach turns around." And then he says that he rediscovered basketball, the joy of basketball, basically, by being there around that American positivity. And that's what I was thinking, really. Even this podcast sometimes, we're so serious. We're so tense. It's like EuroLeague needs a therapist. And I'm talking about EuroLeague teams, coaches, players, and the fan base. We need a therapist because everything's always fucked when it should be about the joy of basketball.
Are you tense in this podcast?
No, but just sometimes we sit down here, we're all like, I'm talking about Rytis maybe a little bit more, but we're a bit negative, I would say, but a lot of the times.
Going back to what Nigel Hayes-Davis said, I think, he has played for Šaras in Žalgiris 2 years, then in Barcelona.
Most of his career he played for Šaras.
Basically.
Exactly, and then for Itudis.
Yeah.
So it's not a lot of positivity there, when you are sitting on the bench. So it's just, I just think he maybe did not have an example of positivity on the sidelines. But I understand that, when you compare the NBA bench and EuroLeague bench, the timeouts, the language of the coaches, it's way different. It's just the way it is. But I think at the same time, when you watch like Team Paris, for example, I don't see Thiago Splitter shouting, but he's also coming from the NBA, NBA environment.
Mm.
I don't know, Rytis, what do you think about it?
I brought 2 drinks for today's podcast.
Yeah, one looks really nasty, to be honest.
Means shit's about to be serious. This is calcium or something. Those pills that you drop in.
2-hour podcast incoming?
I agree with Nigel Hayes-Davis. I totally agree with him. I cannot understand how he feels because I have never been in this position. Look, like Othello Hunter retweeted, and he said, like, to understand what he's saying, you have to be an American playing in Europe for at least a couple of years. So I also agree that not every team is the same, not every coach is the same, and if we check all the leagues, like we could find teams in Spanish league that run things differently, and you don't maybe have this feeling of stress and pressure all the time, and you don't feel that people around you are angry on the bench. But in EuroLeague, the reality is that every week, most of these coaches are fighting for their jobs because a losing streak can cost you your job anytime.
Sometimes even if like 3-game losing streak, that's enough.
There are some clubs that where coaches maybe built this relationship with the ownership. They have more trust. Like Partizan can lose a couple of games and nobody would think about firing him. Maybe Real Madrid has this tradition of believing in their coaches since what happened with Pablo Lasso, and now Chus Mateo is still there, but he's hanging by the thread, I believe. So the thing is, you must win every game. This is the approach for these head coaches. This is how they approach every EuroLeague game, every EuroLeague double game week. And of course, then you're pressuring your own players because every win means so much. And since the EuroLeague doesn't have any alternatives, like there are no teams that are developing talent or building for the future or tanking for a draft pick. So everybody's in here to try to win as much as possible, to make the playoffs, to fight for the Final Four. And this is where we are, and this is the reality we live in. I mean, if you want to feel no pressure and be happy, maybe go play for ALBA Berlin, but they will not pay you as much as Fenerbahce or Barcelona, Real Madrid can pay you.
I did not understand, like, Nigel is was, let's not say I understood what he meant. But at the same time, he's the leader of a winning team that's at the top of the EuroLeague standings. And he's playing well. He has a lot of opportunities to shoot the ball. I know it's not as fun, but at the same time,
But it's just about the environment you're in. It's not about exactly the results. The results are there, but it's about the environment and how you feel emotionally, I guess, every single week, every single game, really. And what you haven't mentioned to add to all this, obviously, is the fans that are putting even more pressure on it. So the more fans are frustrated with their team, the more the GMs are starting to think, what am I doing? Should I fire this coach, replace this coach, whatever? It's just a whole sort of a little bit of a toxic environment in European basketball of let's go win now. So,
and when we're speaking about the joy of basketball, it makes me think about what Kevin Durant said during the Olympics. He said X's and O's are important, but sometimes you just got to play random basketball, and this is the best way to go. Like,
all the Europeans got triggered.
Yeah, you can set the screen, but randomly, not because the coach told you to do so. And you can take the shot whenever you feel like it's a good shot. If you're playing for Sharas and Fenerbahce, I mean, I know that Nigel Hayes-Davis is getting a lot of shots, but like, you need to be in this position. You need to stand in that corner. You need to be there. There are rules on defense. You have to remember all this stuff. So basically, you go out there to do your job. And when you play random basketball, probably you feel happier because now you have the ball. You let the flow of the game dictate what you're about to do. Like,
for sure.
When you're Kevin Durant and you're playing in the NBA, you have that opportunity to play random basketball every night.
And when one turnover does not mean you're going to the bench, because that's when you feel free. That's when you play your best basketball. And in Europe, not in every team you can do that, and for sure not in the teams that Nigel Hayes-Davis has played in.
And add to that the fact that even if you do something good, but in theory that decision was wrong, or you were standing in a wrong position, whatever, randomly you got the ball, or randomly you make a shot. For example, Arturas Milaknis dagger three-pointer.
Oh yeah,
and
that's the one I was
thinking.
That's a classic example.
Yeah, like you think about that situation, he closed the game, right? But in theory, they could have lost if he missed it. So it's a stupid shot. But that's the thing. In Europe, we're more strict, conservative, and all that. But
like,
I guess
even this week, I saw at least a couple of examples where players were treated harshly. For example, Panathinaikos start their game sloppy. 44 seconds in, Coach Ataman calls a timeout, and he replaces three of his starting lineup players. Like, 3 players immediately go to the bench. In one game, I cannot recall the name of the player, but he went for a strong side help, and his man, of course, hit the 3-point shot. Immediately, he was subbed out of the game. So, of course, you don't feel happy. Like, you try to do something, you reacted based on your instinct, you try to help. Oh shit, he's open. He hit the 3, and now you're gonna sit on a bench for 15 minutes. I mean, yeah, it's not the joy of basketball we imagine.
Well, at the same time, you have, I think, examples from the greats like Greg Popovich. He would used to, if he sees a deal breaker like mistake, like a really going over the red line, he would sub out the entire lineup.
Yeah, but we're saying Greg Popovich would probably be the most liberal coach in the EuroLeague. If you would take the most strict coach of the NBA, put them in the EuroLeague, he would be the least strict
I would say
one.
that the old school coaching in the NBA was also pretty hard. Pat Riley, Phil Jackson, Greg Popovich. Of course, there are star players on the team, but the old school coaching in the NBA was also different. Today's approach is more about the positivity and about just creating the best environment for these players to play and try to win.
And for sure, you're not subbing out your players like in Europe. I know you don't have such a huge gap between the level of talent like in the NBA from the starting lineup, from the superstars in the bench. In Europe, you have second lineup that is you can say that they're really close to the level of the starters, But it's not often you see starting 5 players benched, for example, to finish the game. Like in Europe, we see that super often, and that sometimes is weird.
No, you just have to understand that mistakes happen. What you cannot tolerate is let's say, lack of effort, lack of energy, unwillingness to play for the team. These are the things that could get the coach triggered. But mistakes like, for example, a misread on defense or a gamble that doesn't work out. Well, I mean, these things just happen if you play basketball. Even if you play systematic basketball where you have a system, where you have your sets, these things still happen.
Yeah, I just saw Luka letting a guy cut to the basket and conceding a game winner recently, if you saw that moment. And I thought, Luka these days in the EuroLeague would be hard to coach, because back in the day he was a young buck who was, trying to get his name up. But at this moment, the habits he has, I think it would go...
Luka Doncic is just carrying James Harden's legacy of pretending to play defense. He's the best player to pretend that he's actually guarding someone.
Yeah. That's why he fit to Real Madrid.
All right.
A lot of players do that there.
Nice little discussion to start off, but now we'll go into the actual games. Welcome to the URBONUS podcast. Forgot to say that. Augustas Suliauskas, Rytis Vysniauskas, and myself, Gytis Blazevicius. Today we'll talk about Olympiacos' double week, because they were successful, 2-0. We'll talk about some other side topics, but the main topic of the podcast will be 5 bold predictions that we'll go into. But to start off, like I said, Olympiacos, double week, successful, 2-0. You would say maybe even perfect, but both wins came after a very, very hard fight as well. The game against Villeurbanne as well. They led for 3 quarters as well, had a 14-point lead at one point, but then Olympiacos comes back. They hit some clutch 3-pointers, Walkup and Fournier does, and then they secured the win against Maccabi. Again, a super close game. Maccabi's just, I don't know, it's just like a team of fighters in my eyes. It seems like Olympiacos gets some stops. They build like a 2-possession lead, and then Maccabi comes back somehow, even till the very seconds, like very last seconds. Tamir Blatt with that 3-pointer, 91-92, and the game is again back on. But just talking about Olympiacos, are these results more sort of a testament to how well Asvel and Maccabi played, or overperformed maybe, or was this Olympiacos losing focus against on paper weaker opponents? What do you guys think?
I'd say a little bit of both. Well, first of all, I remember Olympiacos in a double game week where they faced 2 Spanish teams, and against Real Madrid and Barcelona, the energy was there from the beginning. And in these 2 games, they started kind of sloppy. And the best teams in EuroLeague, I get that feeling that they can switch on whenever they want to. They can start playing whenever they want to. And Panathinaikos Maccabi game was kind of similar to that. And Olympiacos Maccabi yesterday, they have so much quality in this team that they can afford to play bad for 2 quarters or sometimes even 3 quarters and still win the game. This is actually what happened yesterday. I think the second quarter was the worst Olympiacos quarter this season. Mm-hmm. It was just terrible. I mean, so many mistakes, turnovers, bad decisions on offense, which obviously lead to fast breaks. Maccabi getting easy shots, layups, and ones. That was just a terrible second quarter for Olympiacos, and they went to the locker room being down 11. And, just the fact that Asvel scored 92 on them, Maccabi scored 91 on them, means it was not a perfect week. And yesterday I heard from Vezenkov, from Bartzokas, and I think from Milutinov as well on TV interviews, the same words. The most important thing is that we got the win. It obviously suggests that they're not completely satisfied with the way they performed, but they got these 2 W's, and this is very important for the standings and moving forward. But they can be much better defensively, and I think the third quarter was the best example of how good they can be. I think in the second half yesterday, Bartzokas did what he rarely does. He cut his rotation to 7 or 8 players. And then he just trusted the main guys to run the show. And in the third quarter, they were so aggressive on defense. I think for a couple of minutes, they looked like the USA Dream Team from 92. Like they would deflect every pass by Maccabi. They would go for every steal. And then Fournier just goes coast to coast. And Fournier scored 10 points in the third quarter. Vildosa with those 2 3-point shots. And it's a different ball game. They're up 7. They beat Maccabi in the third quarter by 18 points, if I'm correct.
A lot.
That
First
like the second
third.
quarter was the worst quarter of the season, and the third probably was the best.
yeah.
But then it was
28-10.
28-10, like very impressive.
And lost the second quarter by 16. 29-13 only.
Like ups and downs.
Yeah.
And but in the fourth quarter, credit to Maccabi, they managed to hang in there, to stay in the game. They got some points from second chance opportunities, a couple of big shots by Raymond, by Blatt, and they were still in there. And even in the very end, they had a chance to take it to the overtime. And that was a strange move by Olympiacos, in my opinion.
Not to foul?
Maccabi, not to foul. Maybe you're taking certain risks, right? But the lineups that were on the court, because Maccabi went all small with 5 ball handlers, 5 shooters. And Olympiacos, they stayed with Milutinov. So Tamir Blatt, who hit the three-pointer in a possession before, he just pointed the finger at Milutinov and said, whoever is guarded by him, attack. And the guy happened to be Saban Lee, who was just a bit cold because he was on the bench for a long time. But then it was Saban Lee against Milutinov in ISO. And I'm not sure, why are you staying with Milutinov on the court when Maccabi has 5 guards? So that was a normal shot. I'm not going to say it was an easy shot or anything like that. It was a normal shot. He could have sent it to overtime, but he missed. So, yeah, and Olympiacos survived.
Yeah.
Going back to that second quarter, I think, before this double week, actually, you have a successful double week before at home. You win the derby against Panathinaikos, a great game there. We already talked about that with Gytis. And you are heading into double week against Asvel and Maccabi. And you kind of know, like, especially against Maccabi, they are not a great defensive team. I think they have like 17th defensive rating. In the first quarter, everything is going well. Everybody's scoring 29 points. And then in the second quarter, I think the players, it's a little bit, at the same time, it's natural that you start thinking about, so we're going to win this easily.
Yeah.
We know how to score. We are going to stop them. I might get some stats because, everybody's scoring. I might chip in. I might, put up my averages in this game. And then you all of a sudden forget to play defense. And you're thinking in the offense only about your shots. And Bartzokas was talking about that in the timeout at the end of the second quarter, I think. Like, you are only thinking about one side of the court, but we actually have to defend. So I thought that's what happened here because they just got caught in the moment. I think it's sometimes natural. Double week against Maccabi with no spectators. The ball is going in for everyone. And then they talked about it in the locker room, and we already saw how changed Olympiacos was in the third quarter. And I loved how happy everybody were in the end of the third quarter. After 2 great defensive possessions, like Vildosa gets a deflection and a steal, everybody's pumped. Vildosa is pumped. I did not see that emotion from him for the entire last season. Now he's playing, he's much more bought in. And then somebody else makes Williams Goss makes a nice defensive play, and there's like walk up, Papa Nicolau on the bench. Everybody's happy. So I like these signs from Olympiacos. They are hungry. They have the desire to finally win the EuroLeague. They're building great habits. Evan Fournier is playing outstanding basketball offensively. That's exactly what they needed.
3 consecutive games with 20 points or more.
Yep.
Guys, do you have basketball friends? I mean, friends that are in love with basketball as you guys are?
As much as we are, probably not. But a lot of people watch basketball.
And when the Christmas season comes, it's usually like, what do I get, this guy or that guy? It's really hard to think. And BasketNews has solved this problem. We have BasketNews Christmas gift sets for basketball fans. And that's obviously, I'm talking to you, viewers. If you have people who love basketball and you want to give them a little bit of a surprise from BasketNews, you can check out our mini, midi, and maxi gift sets. They're different levels of how would you say, different levels of gifts, I guess. Yes, you can get some merch, some basketball socks. You know that Christmas is not complete if you don't get socks as a gift.
That's a fact.
Obviously a BM Plus membership and some of your favorite merch in there. And it's all customizable, actually. You can select whatever you want, select the style, color, size, obviously, and make it a personal gift for your dear basketball friends.
And I know you're seeing just a couple of examples, but I'm pretty sure we have a lot of options for different team fans, because I think that's what's really important for our viewers. Everybody has their own favorite team in the EuroLeague, and you can actually go to our shop.basketnews.com to see the different sweaters and shirts we have for different teams fans. And it comes already packed, so you don't need to actually think, okay, now I have this gift, and now I need to wrap it up, and in the last day on the 23rd or on the afternoon of the 24th, I don't know when you're doing, but I'm usually doing the wrapping in the last hours. You don't need to think about that if you are ordering gifts from our shop.
Yeah, you don't need to be like Creed from The Office, who just put an old shirt into a bag and just gave it as a Christmas gift. Also, there are some designs with the Santa Claus dunking a basketball. There's also another one with a basketball and some Christmas ornaments. So basketball themed Christmas, that's what we are wishing you. Make sure to check out everything at shop.basketnews.com. I had some freaky stats for you guys, actually. Olympiacos in the month of November have played 3 games. All 3 games, they scored 94 points. 94 is the jersey number of Evan Fournier, who had scored 22, 20, and 20 in the last 3 games. Amazing performance.
Wow, that's an insane observation.
Yeah, like it is a fun fact. And also, of course, Sasha Vezenkov, again, he's been consistent the whole season, but these last 3 games as well, 20, 21, and 21. Like crazy output from the 1-2 punch. Maybe we're seeing the potential of what we could have expected before when those 2 guys came back from the NBA. Now they're playing up to their, not ceiling, let's say, but to their standard that we would expect. And yeah, I mean, actually talking about the standings and Olympiacos, now they are at 7 wins and 3 losses after 10 games. And currently, looking at the standings, Barcelona is playing Paris, if I'm not mistaken, today.
Yeah.
If Paris wins, then Barca stays at 7-3. Paris goes up to 7-3. If Panathinaikos wins against Virtus, they go up to 7-3. And if Žalgiris wins against Fenerbahce, who are 7-2, they would go to 7-3, and we would have 7 teams tied for the first 7 spots, basically.
Well, it's just too early to look at the standings, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say about Vezenkov, yesterday he looked like peak Nikola Mirotic with the dark art of drawing fouls. It has to be so annoying for the defender. Like, he gets every single call. Every time you bump into him, he draws the contact, something happens, he's going to the free throw line. I think Maccabi could have done a better job fouling in the end and maybe fouling somebody else, because Olympiacos, when they have the ball in their hands for 5 or 6 seconds, you are still in a position to choose who you're fouling. Like, they could have fouled Vildosa. I'm not saying Vildosa would miss those free throws, but eventually they had to foul Vezenkov, and he was just cold shooting those free throws, in a good sense, cold, like no problem at all.
Cold-blooded.
Yeah.
Okay, so 10 games in, this was not scripted, but I just have this question in my mind right now.
Nothing is scripted in this podcast,
Exactly.
by the way.
Some topics we already discussed what we are going to talk about, but this question just popped up in my head. 10 games in, 24 left. We just saw the Greek derby. Who do you think is going to finish higher in the regular season? Olympiacos or Panathinaikos?
Olympiacos.
Why?
Because they're deeper. I think they're more consistent. Like, even last season, they seemed more consistent. And I know playoffs is a different story. Final Four is a whole different story. But in the regular season right now, Olympiacos seems like the team that should be the number 1 seed in my eyes.
Gytis?
Well, we talked about it last week, if I'm not mistaken, when we were doing the updated power rankings, and that's what I said. I said I could even see Olympiacos finishing first in the standings over Panathinaikos, but I think it's going to be one of those two, and it's a flip of a coin in my opinion. I agree with Rytis that Olympiacos is a bit more consistent, and because of their system, I feel like in the playoffs, in the regular season rather, it's more likely that this will go further. But when we start playoffs, when we start figuring out more details, and perhaps teams will focus on just how to stop Olympiacos' system, then we'll see. But at the moment, I would also agree that Olympiacos probably the more likely to finish first. But as I said before as well, the first seed in the EuroLeague never wins
the title.
So
yeah.
Do you really want it, right?
Want to do it? Yeah. Do you really want to do it?
What do you think?
What do you think? Yeah.
Answer your own question.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I just think they're more hungrier and responding to that Olympiacos stopping their system in the playoffs. They have Evan Fournier. They have Tyler Dorsey. I think is going
They're
to
much
be
better this year. Like
I think
have so many more options.
I think it's going to be a different story with them in a good way.
Yeah, and Milutinov is definitely back. Like now, every game is a near double performance.
Just gotta stay healthy.
And you have Fallen Milutinov, and you have Moses Wright as your third option. It's insane.
It's ridiculous. But let's not talk about.
I also want to
depth.
say a couple of words about Maccabi, because I saw both of their games against Greek teams, and we know that Maccabi is in a difficult situation. Like they're the team that is making most in-season roster changes, signing new players. Some players left. Now they're adding Mariel Sheok. And actually, before this double game week, I thought they are doomed against Lesor, against Fall, against Milutinov, because they were without Jaciel Rivero, their main center. And Wenian Gabriel has this habit of getting into the foul trouble. But Roman Sorkin really stepped up. Some pick and pop actions, some shots he made. And I think they probably feel they should have won at least one of these two games. Whether in Athens or yesterday in Belgrade, like they could have snatched at least one win, which would be good for them. They played against the best of the best, and I think they were good offensively. They showed good quality, and they do have talent. They're not a bad team. It's just that the situation is tough for them. Like it's a completely new team. They don't have the home court advantage, but slowly they're growing and they're becoming a team that you can actually watch and expect them to get some wins. Like because when the season started, when Jordan Lloyd left, they had some injuries. I thought that they're going to be somewhere 16th, 17th, 18th in the standings. But now I'm starting to feel like they're playing pretty good basketball, at least offensively. I'm not sure how good they can be defensively, but they're not as bad as it might look right now with 3 and 7 in the standings.
Offensively, they are fun to watch. I would say their system is offensively top 3 in the league.
And Blatt is leading the league in the assists. He's averaging 9 assists per game.
Yeah, some of those passes are really like Milos Teodosic style.
Yeah.
Milos Teodosic.
I have a very important question for you, Rytis. Is this a part of the design that the white bits, they're like torn up? Or have you washed it too many times, the jumper?
No, it's the way it's supposed to be.
The way it's supposed to be, okay.
I didn't wash it too much because I didn't wear it that much.
Important, really.
Yeah, all right.
It's like the wings of the hawk, like when you spread, you see the whole name of the franchise.
Talking about red teams, Crvena Zvezda that I watched win against Monaco. Yeah, actually wearing their colors today. I was gonna say we should talk about them, but but since they lost yesterday against Asvel, which was unexpected, they didn't finish their week off with a 2-0. Won't talk about them as much as I would like to talk about just one of their rising stars, Filip Petrusev. a guy who was moving around quite a bit in the last few years. We remember him debuting in the Ataman Efes, really falling out of the rotation quite quickly. Then we remember him going to Zvezda, having a breakout season, 2022-23. Then he obviously earned an NBA shot, so got the call up from Philly. Then he was traded to Kings. Not a great period there. Really quickly came back to Europe, came back to Olympiacos last year, and there a limited role again. That went on to be a limited role in this season, came back to Zvezda, and now he is shining again in the same team that he had a breakout season. I wanted to ask you guys, just in the game against Monaco, he had the 38 PIR, I believe, and in the last 3 games he's averaging 19 points. He's 24 years old right now. What do you think is the ceiling for this guy? Is he an NBA caliber player, or is he just a EuroLeague star material player? What do you guys think?
I think we should focus on his European career. I'm not sure if he can be successful in the NBA. If Vezenkov wasn't, then I don't know what Petrusev can do even better and establish himself on a good NBA team, let's say.
Size and a little bit of a rim protection that he adds?
I don't think he has much rim protection. I mean,
more than Vezenkov, obviously.
Well, but
Not enough.
not enough, really.
Not mobile enough.
But he's 24. Remember Vezenkov in Barcelona when he was around that age?
No, so I'm not saying he's not going to grow to be a EuroLeague star, but I just don't really see him in the NBA. Like, Yabusele is a really good example. He got his second chance in the NBA, but he's a different player. Completely different physicality, and he fits the Philadelphia
more versatile,
76ers.
maybe. Yeah.
Petrusev is not really great defensively, and he wasn't a year ago, he wasn't 2 years ago, and he still isn't today. We're probably still debating whether he's a 4 or a 5.
But it's actually a plus for him that he can play both positions.
Offensively, he can do a lot. So we're talking about an established Serbian national team player, which already proves that he's playing on a really high level. But right now, I think Zvezda is the best environment for him because this is where he's trusted. This is the team that gives him the opportunity to play a lot of minutes, to have an important role. But I think for him to take that extra step and, let's say, become an MVP contender, play for one of the top teams in the EuroLeague and play for titles, he has to improve his defense. That's the only thing, in my opinion.
I think the fit for him in Zvezda is perfect. Because, with Cody, sometimes the teams go under, limiting his impact. At the same time, when you have a guy that's setting him a screen and is popping after that, and can shoot the free, can play face-up, can drive in transition, that actually opens up a lot for Crvena Zvezda's offense. And I know it's a small sample size, but, the offensive rating gets better by 16 points, the difference when Petrusev is on the court and he is not on the court. Plus 16 points per 100 possessions, that's the biggest positive impact for Crvena Zvezda. And, you can see that when he's playing the 5 position, there's really, he can do most of the things. Even if you switch, he has a smaller guy. He can post him up. He can make a hook shot. He can just do the Porzingis shot where he turns around and makes this short mid-range jumper. So I think together with Cody Miller-McIntyre, with Isaiah Kane, and with Nemanja Nedovic, like offensively, this is one thing that was that the Zvezda were missing. And so I really like the fit. I think he can show off his best, best things he can do on the court. But I think he can be a really, really great player in Europe, like top tier player in Europe. But I agree with Rytis that the NBA is not where he should probably focus on.
Unless, like you said, he improves his defense somehow in the next few years. What do you guys think about what happens when Joel Bolomboy comes back from his injury? Because that will happen relatively soon, in a few months or a month. And how do you see the fit? Can they play on the same at the same time on the court?
I think they can. If Petrusev can play as a 4, but somebody would lose their minutes. We're talking about Luka Mitrovic probably, who's not playing as much this season as he used to in previous years. He's averaging only 12 minutes per game, and I think the last 5 games, he only played 9 minutes in these 5 games. So, yeah, they can play together. And when Petrusev is in this shape, you cannot just bench him because Bolomboy is back. I think Bolomboy is a very important part of this team. He helps so much in rebounding, in defense, protecting the paint. Also a great pick and roll partnership for Yago or Milos or any other guard. I think Sfairopoulos will find a way to fit them together. As I said, Petrusev is a 4/5, so he can play as a stretch 4. He plays for the Serbia national team next to Nikola Jokic or Nikola Milutinov, and it works. So I don't see a problem here.
That's the only time, like, when I was thinking that Filip Petrusev looked pretty decent against Team USA when they were playing in the Paris Olympics, and I was thinking the body he has, the size, and the skills he has, like, I see the NBA potential, definitely. But obviously there are those problems that we were talking about just recently. But
shouldn't have tried to post up LeBron James, though. Wasn't a smart move.
And it was the FIBA court. That makes
that is a difference. That's correct. And
all the differences in the world.
So Yabusele dunked on LeBron. He got a contract. Petrusev tried to post up LeBron.
Didn't get the contract.
That's easy. That's all we should have said about Filip Petrusev. But I think with Joel Bolomboy, they are going to be okay. And then just one quick stat: Bolomboy, although he played only 4 games, but he had the biggest positive impact to any team by any player up until this point. So other guys have played, of course, more games. But with Bolomboy, compared when he's not on the court, Zvezda are 35 points better in those 4 games. And, you could see that on the court at the same time. Zach Lidey is second after 9 games in this. But just because Milano's offense with him is so much better.
And just one quick remark about this double game week for Zvezda. I think they won this battle of the talent in Monaco in a very entertaining game.
Oh, very, very NBA-esque, I would say. The defense was lacking
there
a bit.
was Milos Teodosic guarding Elio Kobo, so you couldn't expect much from that matchup. But then again, they lost to Villeurbanne. And I just want to say that let's not underestimate Asvel. They're not bad.
No,
you can't
not
say that
like
anymore.
last year.
They are not
completely
bad.
different team.
With Maledon and great bigs. I mean, they're a good team, and especially when you face them in their own gym, it's not easy to beat them. So I'm not going to say it was a bad week for Zvezda to get this one win. And Monaco is Monaco. They, in a double game week, they always play one good game. They never play 2 good games. This time it happened that the first game they lost, and then they responded in Vitoria.
Right, guys. You said Asvel is not one of those teams that you can look at the calendar and say, okay, we're taking this win. But there was one team that you could have said about, especially with the circumstances. ALBA Berlin missing 8 players, having only 10 players registered on their roster for the game against Milano. I think half of those players are from the youth team anyways. And somehow, after pretty much controlling the game for 3 quarters, Milano did, they managed to lose in the overtime to this ALBA Berlin 105 to 101. Can you guys explain me how is this possible? Just looking at the names, at everything, what the hell is happening in Milano?
Bro, I mean, Israel Gonzalez is 5-2 against Messina. 5-2. And we're talking about ALBA Berlin.
Hogis cannot contain himself anymore.
If they could play Olimpia Milano every week, they would be EuroLeague champions. They would be the kings of Europe. Somehow, Messina and Milano makes Israel Gonzalez look like Phil Jackson, and ALBA Berlin play like they're the best offensive team in Europe. With so many injured players, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Yesterday they played Bayern Munich. It was the worst game of the season, the biggest blowout of the season. Like, what the hell? I mean, look, I'm not sure how long we can still sugarcoat this. Messina has
We are
to
not sugarcoating
No,
this.
but people still trying to be careful about their words.
Yeah.
Messina has to step down. That's it. It's
He has
enough.
to go, blood. He has to go.
I mean,
AFTV, man. But really, for real, like, how can this happen? How can you blow a lead in Berlin against
Well, he said
injured Alba?
he said that they were playing the worst defense this season so far, and he was very very mad.
I
in
don't
the
think
post-game.
the worst defense of the season is enough to lose to Alba Berlin right now. I think there has to be something extra.
somehow Bayern München, okay, they played at home in München yesterday, but they won by 75 points yesterday. I mean,
It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous.
any
they lost
other
this
coach
game.
in this situation would have been fired like 3 times already.
Actually, we have this EuroLeague fantasy draft chat group, like most of us do, and one of my friends just posted a screenshot of Alba Berlin's injured players, and
Yeah, this one. I posted on Twitter as well. This
yeah, so he sent this to the group chat and said, if Milan doesn't win this by 20 or more, their license has to be suspended. So in the middle of the third quarter, I think Milan is leading by 14 or 15. And he's just saying, like, it's not enough. They should crush them. I actually assigned Messina as my coach for the fantasy team. And
Everybody did.
And I didn't. I chose.
You didn't?
No, I didn't, because
Wow.
it's Messina. And I said to him, look, don't underestimate Milano's ability to lose any game under any circumstances. This is not over. So yeah, and they lost. They still lost this game. I mean, this is...
And they beat Real Madrid a week before that.
Look, we are just saying that.
What the hell, man?
You know, talking about that Messina should step down. Milano did also have injuries like they do in every season. I don't know what's going on in there with that situation. But defensively, this team, Milano team, is bottom 3 in the league. That has never happened under Messina in the last years. And the players that are on the court, they look dysfunctional. Like, they were +4 with a minute to go, I think, Milano. And there is a simple back screen, and Tonut and Mirotic don't know what to do in that situation. Mirotic, you know, he's never above average defender. But how can you have this miscommunication on a simple back screen to allow 2 easy points from under the basket in such a crucial moment? And I know maybe the roster that they have right now with the injuries is way more balanced towards the offense, but you just can't lose against this team of Alba with 8 injured players. I don't care. It's just you just can't have that. I don't know. That team does not look like they're having fun. They don't look like they are, you know, they're willing to be emotional, happy. Their energy is drained. Their whole plan against Alba's switch all defense in the end was just throw the ball to Mirotic.
And
hey,
post
do
up.
something.
Yeah.
Like, you know, this meme where you take this stick and you're do something.
Do something, yeah.
What is this basketball? I mean,
Yeah.
it is ridiculous, really. And we are saying this. We are having this conversation for every 6 months.
For the last 3 seasons.
In the previous years, they were so ugly on offense, but they always had one of the best defensive ratings in the league.
Yeah, they
had
always
Kyle Hines.
They had always had top 3 defensive rating, at least.
Yes,
at least.
But they were so ugly on offense. Now they're ugly on offense. They're bad on defense. They beat Real Madrid.
who we also will talk about
Let's
in
applaud
our...
that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Real Madrid has their own problems. Alba had 4 players scoring 20 or more in this game. The 2 Italian players combined for 49 points
Spagnola and Procida,
against
yeah.
an Italian team. Procida 29,
probably
Spagnola 20.
those two Italians, if they would be in Milano, they would sit on the bench and not get a minute in the same game.
Jonas Matisek against Milano, career high. Procida against Milano, career high. Spagnolo against Milano, career high. Trevion Williams, career high. Like Alba Berlin, as an organization, has the purpose in this league only to entertain us when they play Milano.
Rytis, question for you, a quiz. You know how they do inside the TNT with the Czech who he play for? It's kind of a similar one, a quick one. So you mentioned Procida, Spagnola, Matisek, and Trevion Williams.
Yep.
4 players from ALBA. Don't look at the box score right now.
I mean, I have it in front of me.
It's okay. You just saw
unfair.
it, right? You just saw it, right? Name me at least other 3 players that played for that ALBA team against Milano.
Giga Samar.
Okay. This guy just saw the box score.
Elias what's his name? Rapik.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
This guy.
And the other 3 are young guys.
Should have been some other German player.
Yeah, there is one that you're forgetting. Very popular in the fantasy. Power forward.
Schneider.
Exactly.
Right, Tim Schneider. And the rest. Okay, I'm gonna take a look. I don't know who is Amon Doris, or Anton Nufer, or Dorian Grosberg.
Nikola Mirotic did not know either.
I was gonna. We're going to film some EuroLeague games, little short games, and I had a game. Is this a real EuroLeague player, or I just made up that name? And one of them you just mentioned, so I'll have to change that.
I remember one of my mates played a game. Is this a Brooklyn Nets player or IKEA?
Like a furniture name, yeah.
Because at the time the Nets were tanking and they were signing a lot of players on 10-day contracts, and there were some crazy names out there. And
Rytis was like,
played this game.
At the time, the Nets were tanking.
It's the same thing, more or less.
It's way more respectful.
Do you guys remember any historical examples of a more embarrassing loss than this one?
I think every year when they lose to ALBA Berlin, it gets more embarrassing.
But Žalgiris lost to a depleted ALBA team last year in Berlin as well. And the coach was fired
right after almost.
Well,
he was fired right after, but then
a couple of weeks.
rehired.
Yeah.
You kind of got the feeling after that game that it's over. I don't know, man.
Okay, let's
you
move
look
on.
at their head-to-head against ALBA Berlin. Even the couple of games they won, they barely won.
Right, let's move on to our main topic of the podcast.
It's just
we
my
can't.
heart is I lived in Italy for 4 years, and how can Milano be so bad? Like, if you are a Milano fan and if you're not pissed about this situation, you're probably pissed, and you can't do anything. Nothing is changing.
Well, they're Italian champions.
Right.
They're winning the league.
Great. With the budget that's like 30 times higher than any other team in Italy. Congrats.
That's crazy, actually, thinking about the budget. Right, guys.
Okay, now you can move on.
5 bold predictions. We have 5 questions. We can only answer them yes or no and give our arguments why we think so. They're sort of looking forward like 5 or 6 months almost. And the first one we have is, will Paris make the playoffs? So who wants to start?
Yes.
Okay. Why do you think so?
Because they are the best team that maximizes the roster, the players they have, and they are the most effective a team can be. Their system is second to none, I think. They're playing at 100% in each game. I have not seen a team play an offense sprinting that hard. I don't know since when. I'm not sure I've ever seen a team playing at this pace in Europe. And, they have a really great system. They have been together for a couple of years. They're playing super smart. They have a leader in TJ Shorts. They have a microwave scorer in Nadir Hifi. Other players are fitting in well. Colin Malcolm, Tyson Ward, Mika Jantunen stretching the floor. Kavaris Hayes doing things on the defensive end. And Thiago Splitter so far is doing an amazing job just continuing what Thomas Isolo built. I think they're going to be in the playoffs. And for that team that sees them in the playoffs, it's not going to be easy. They're uncomfortable to play.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go this way all the time, so it'll be easier to know who's talking when. So you went, now I'll go. I will say no, because I do believe they will make the play-in as a 10th or 9th seed, but then I think they are going to be eliminated just because they won't have a home court advantage in that play-in. I also think right now other teams in the EuroLeague are struggling to understand what's happening. They're facing this team, they're playing super fast, and they haven't played them before because they were obviously in the Euro Cup. And now when they're playing them, they just haven't had the time to adjust to understand what do you do. And I feel like as the season goes on, as we see more examples of teams managing to stop this crazy Paris offense, maybe they'll halt a little bit. And I feel like, they have some weaknesses. You have a 1 meter 75 centimeter TJ Shorts on the court. Defensively, that should be an attackable point, right?
But
Look,
Splitter is doing a great job, like hiding him. I watch them play, and I don't have any issues with TJ Shorts on defensive end. Because normally I would expect the things that you're saying, like he's too short. I have the feeling that it's an issue more when I watch Tamir Blat in Maccabi system. He's more exposed defensively. TJ Shorts, not like Žalgiris game, for example. When was he exposed?
Look, Paris have an answer for any defense that you play against them, or any offense that you play against them. Against Žalgiris, and I've seen it a couple of times. TJ Shorts is guarding someone in the post. When the pass is flying to an entry pass, when the pass is flying, TJ Shorts is going out, so there is no more mismatch. And they are so well working together. They know what to do in every situation. If you somehow get the ball, like Ignas Brazdeikis got the ball in the post against TJ Shorts, and they just put, this kind of they stay in the 2-freeze that zone that Charas also do sometimes with Fenner, and they just go help, and everybody is in the gaps, and everybody knows what to do. If you're playing the switching defense, you have TJ Shorts driving to the left, there's a Gortan screen inside, and everybody's asking, how a 1 meter 75 centimeter guard is making layups wide open. That's because of their system, and they're doing so many things well, like so many slip screens, so many Verjao screens where you change the angle of the pick at the last second. I don't think teams are going to adjust. They're a well-oiled machine as nobody else in
the only other, not a red flag, but the only other concern I would have with the pace they're playing with is literal fatigue when we get to the second half of the season.
That's what I wanted to say.
So that's why I also said no.
That's what I wanted to say. I think they might, they never played in the EuroLeague with this team. They played in the Euro Cup, less games, less challenging opponents. Now you're playing in the EuroLeague 34 games in the regular season. At the same time, you're still competing in the French league. So who knows? Maybe after the new year, they might be a bit tired, and the energy levels might drop, and you might not be able to sustain the tempo that they're showing right now. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say they are probably gonna be in the play-in, as you said, but I'm not sure about them making the playoffs. Another thing is I'm still not totally convinced that they can consistently win games away from home. The games they lost, I know they were pretty close. It's not like they were beaten by a lot, but today they're facing Barcelona. More tough away games are ahead of them, and we'll find out if they can do the same things away from home, because in Adidas Arena, at their own gym, with their own DJ, with that environment, they run the show. Like, you must adjust to their conditions, and it's hard. Actually, right now, with the 9 or 10 games played, I value Zvezda's win in Paris more than I did when it actually happened on the first game week. Now I understand how difficult it is to play there in Paris.
Right, so we got 2 no's, 1 yes. Second question.
Pretty sure about this.
Okay. Next one is, will Partizan make the play-in? Not even the playoffs, we're talking about the play-in. Augustas, what do you think?
Let's start from Rytis.
Okay, now let's
now you want to.
We'll do some snake draft thing.
Look, since I didn't get any payments for the last couple of weeks, I'm gonna have to say no. I covered their game against Barcelona this week. there was a comeback. There was some fighting spirit in the last 15 minutes. But I still feel that this is a new team and they're still trying to build some chemistry. Too many times I see Carlik Jones dribbling the ball to the corner and Sterling Brown is already standing in the same corner. These are the things you don't expect to see when you watch Željko Obradovic's team. Like, they still don't have a flow offensively, and they have a lot of issues defensively, in my opinion. I think they will improve. I think they will get better. They will get some wins. They lost some heartbreakers, actually. They could have been in a better position now. But in my opinion, they will not make the play-in, even though there's a lot of quality and talent on that team. It just, again, shows that it's so hard when you rebuild the roster in the summer completely. You sign 10 or 12 new players. It takes time, and you need patience. And EuroLeague games go fast, double game weeks come every single month, and it's hard. They don't really have that much time, and my prediction is no.
I'll definitely agree with you. Also say no on this one. And just to add to what you were just saying, games go fast, all that. Now they're on a five losing streak, basically, and have a 2-7 start.
Well, they're playing Olimpia Milano today, so they might feel better about themselves.
Yeah, one team that's in a complete hole, and the other team that's we just talked about him for a while. Point being that, I feel like it's a bit of too big of a hole to climb out of, considering how competitive the EuroLeague is this year. And just to add to what you were saying, it was a risky move, a bold move to re-sign the whole team, basically sign new players, the whole roster. We see they don't have that defensive potential we were talking about before. We were saying that this might be one of the best defensive teams with the length they have and all that, but unfortunately, it's not in reality materializing as we thought about it in theory, and I also don't see it. I feel like they will climb up to like maximum 12th spot, but it's just too big of a hole right now.
Yeah, they're last in the league in defensive rebounds, bottom 3 in defensive rebound percentage, bottom 3 in 2-point percentage allowed, and 14th defensive rating only. I expected way better things, but I guess it just have to do that they are a completely new team, and offensively, I don't see enough, let's say, scoring power, creation power for them to make the playoffs, to make the play-in.
So you're also saying no?
I'm saying no, but they have a huge games coming up today against Milano at home. They must win.
And then
they
want
to turn around.
Derby next week.
They have the Eternal Derby, and after that, they have 3 home games that are Olympiacos, Žalgiris, and Panathinaikos. And basically, these 5 games can decide your season, because if you keep losing these games, if you go like 2 out of 5, that probably means that you're out. You're out of the race super early. You can still turn it around, like when Žalgiris did, winning 9 games in a row in the end, but it was a miracle. But these next 5 games for Partizan, they must find something, and I'm not sure if they can do that.
And honestly, if any of you guys answer the question, yes, they will be in the play-in. I would love to know your predictions. Who would they replace from the current top 10? Because in the current top 10, we don't even have Real Madrid. So we still have to squeeze in Real Madrid somehow. So which team would drop out, and which team could they, let's say, catch in the standings and overtake in the top 10?
It's not like, they could be only 2 wins away from the play-in after today.
But I'm just thinking, I'm just looking at the top 10
really
right now, and I see Real Madrid in the 11th spot. And okay, so maybe FS, I don't know. Zvezda, they have the quality. They could stay in there. They could be in the play-in. Žalgiris
and Bayern are obviously a bit above what we expected. Paris as well. But look, the way Bayern Munich and Paris basketball are playing,
with the way the system is clicking there, and when you see Carsen Edwards, TJ Shorts, and all these other guys, I do expect them to be in the top 10 actually. And Žalgiris, I'm not totally convinced about them, but they're in a much better position than Partizan. So it's a tough pick. If you're saying that Partizan will be in the play, and it's a really tough pick right now.
Yep. Let's move on to the next one. The third one is Madrid making the Final Four? And now, since you ended the last one, you can start this one.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. Since the middle of last season, I haven't seen anything that would make me say it. And they just lost talent this summer. They are not that good offensively to actually overcome their issues defensively. And it looks to me, I'm talking, from outside, but it looks to me that there is something not right in their locker room as well. And you cannot win games when you're not going for offensive rebounds, where you're sometimes not trying on defense. You just have to outscore your opponents. That's what Madrid has been all about for the last season and a half. And they just don't have that anymore. Of course, if they keep playing like this, you would imagine there will be some changes. Either whether that's a coaching change or whether that's a signing addition, they're for sure looking for someone a player to add, so they could still turn it around. But Final Four, last year they were number one because of what they did in the first half of the season. They barely lost there, and then they played Baskonia, who were 2 levels below them.
And they even lost Chima Moneke due to injury, so they didn't even have their best player.
Exactly. So I just don't see them going to Final Four. That's too tall of a task, I would say.
Yeah, I'm also gonna go no. I thought maybe even we should be looking at the standings right now. We should be saying, are they a playoff lock? Because playoff lock would be top 6. I don't think so either. I feel like they might actually. I feel like they'll be in the playoffs, at least from the talent they have, and I expect a coaching change more than maybe you were talking about it a bit more carefully. But if they manage to lose to this ALBA somehow, then it's GG for Chus Mateo today. But yeah, even if they change the coach, then I don't know how does that affect the team. Usually it's a boost, especially after being in a tough situation. Like we can remember, even Žalgiris coach was changed in the middle of the season with Trinkeri coming in, and then the team looked completely different. And it would be a similar situation where, for example, Žalgiris coach was put that Žalgiris a season before into a top 8 somehow, and the next season he's struggling. Now we're talking about Chus Mateo, who won the EuroLeague in 2022 and or 2023 Kaunas, and now we're talking about maybe firing him, which is always sounds a bit weird, maybe, to not trust the coach that got you the championship. On the other hand, some say that it was whatever was left after Pablo Lasso that won that championship. So I just think even if you change the coach, I'm not convinced that team will, all of a sudden start clicking, and we'll see them in the top 6 and then get the decent opponent for the playoffs. So it's a no.
I'm gonna say yes, but there are certain conditions here.
Okay.
So first of all, probably Sergio Scariolo will take over the team. Then they should sign a guard and a forward. They're not making signings right now, probably because they're still planning to change the head coach, because the clock is ticking and they definitely need reinforcements, and they're not doing anything in the market right now. So maybe they're waiting for the coaching change, and then they will go for new players as well. So that's 2 conditions: a guard, a forward, and a new coach.
That's 3 conditions.
Well, let's say guard and a forward. Let's say reinforcements.
Okay.
If it's a really good forward, then maybe you don't need a guard. But I would love to have a decent backup for Facundo Campazzo. Now Andres Feliz is not playing, but even if he's playing, I'm not sure if he's the guy. So those conditions, and the other ones are also very tricky. They must avoid the Greek teams in the playoff series.
So they must finish
sixth.
at least.
Well, they can finish 6th. I'm not sure. Maybe Panathinaikos might finish 3rd, so they need to finish 5th. Who knows? It's too hard to say right now. But the fact is, okay, it's not a fact, it's an opinion. My opinion is that they can beat any other team in a series, even without the home court advantage. So I'm going to say yes, but as you can see, there are certain conditions to my positive answer.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about how Madrid does not know how to lose respectfully?
It's been talked about before. I'm not sure if we have anything new to say about this on this topic, but it's a shame to see like Campazzo fouling his opponent in 2 seconds left. Darius Thompson is going to attack because the point difference might matter. I mean, he has the let's say opportunity to take the final shot and try to even improve the point difference. So it's up to him if he wants to do that. And then you're going from his back, that hard foul, which is an unsportsmanlike foul. And there were other things. Sergio yapping to the referee. No, I don't like that. I cannot understand why you need to behave like this.
But it's just another situation to their collection. How many times we have seen that? Of course, the biggest, most remarkable thing was
Partizan
playoffs, game 2 at the end. It just seems like, you have been so great for so long, and now you're not that great anymore. You're losing at home, you're frustrated, and you just have to lash out like this out of the frustration.
Exactly.
And Campazzo was even going to shake hands of the players. But at the same time, in the EuroLeague, it's nothing new now. Like this season, last season, it is nothing new that you are playing until the last moment, just because of the point differential, especially in the first leg. In the second, maybe you won the first game by 10, you're winning the second game by 3. Yeah. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
But in the first leg, everybody's playing
even the
until
plus
the
minus,
last.
the overall plus minus might matter in some cases.
Who knows?
You never know.
Why are you making a big deal out of this? They have the ball, so they make the decision. Some teams don't attack. Okay, it's up to them. It's just that when you hear Real Madrid, the first thought is champions. And you want them to behave like champions, like set the example for the rest.
When they're losing, they're not behaving like champions. That's
exactly
for sure. And I hope that could change, but they have proved us wrong so many times already.
It's probably a cultural thing.
We got 2 more questions to answer and not that much time. So let's go with, will Carsen Edwards make the All-EuroLeague team? Rytis, spotlight is on you.
I hope that he will, but if I have to predict, okay, let's say yes. Let's say yes. There's still a long way to go. If Bayern Munich can sustain a good position, let's say at least be in the play-in, and if he will lead the league in scoring, he has to be included.
But Marcus Howard did not get in.
Exactly what I wanted to say. Not even to a second EuroLeague team being the top scorer. Of course, Marcus Howard's problem was his efficiency. So how many shots he was putting up and how many he was making and the turnovers, everything added together, he was like, scoring 20-something points. But his PIR was like 13 or something like that.
Okay, probably... Okay, so 2 spots in the All-EuroLeague team, I think, are taken already if these guys are healthy. Lesor and Vezenkov, 100%.
Yeah.
Then maybe Kendrick Nunn from Panathinaikos, who knows? Mike James is not playing the type of a season
so far, but we don't know.
But who knows what might happen. There are other great guards.
Fournier might, if he keeps it up like he is right now, playing that shape.
There could be like 1 or 2 open spots for players from other teams to take, and Bayern Munich with Carsen Edwards could be the team and he could be the player, but it's a long shot.
Yeah,
it's a long shot, but I'm going to say yes just because I love the player.
I'll say no, and it's not because he wouldn't deserve it, but I feel like it's to do with how these teams are selected. So we got to remember it's fans, media, head coaches, and team captains, and all of these
Kevin
parts.
Punter also. I didn't mention Kevin Punter, the way he's playing so far.
Yeah, true.
It's all EuroLeague first team material.
But back to my point, there are 4 parts that are 25% each. So fans, media, head coaches, and team captains. And then when you look at fans, that they're just gonna go for the big teams players, like the Greeks, the Serbians. They're gonna vote for their own players usually. That's the 25% of the votes. Then you have head coaches who I don't think will pick a high volume shooter who scores 21 but his PIR is 16 or something like that. They'll say no, he's not effective, or he's not that good on defense, or whatever they'll say. I feel like the head coaches won't pick him as much. Then maybe media will show appreciation if he keeps up the level of play he has right now. And team captains, I don't know how that works, but I have a feeling there are some biases there too. So, I mean, I'll say no, because I just feel like that system, that the way that we get to all EuroLeague team, last year we can remember those 5s, we were all shocked by them. So I won't be surprised to be very surprised by the end of the season seeing those all EuroLeague teams.
So you said...
He said yes, I said no.
But Rytis was kind of convincing himself, right, to say yes.
He wanted to be different.
To be honest, that out of 5 questions that we have, I have to think the longest for this one, and I'm still 50-50. I'm going to say yes, just because I also want it to happen for a small guy to actually get in, because last year. And I just look at the stats. Last year, Marcus Howard, 19.4 points per game, only 1.8 assists, 11.5 PER. He did not get in. Carsen Edwards right now has 21. Shooting percentage is very similar, but he has 3.3 assists, so more shot making for others, and 16.8 PAR. If he keeps these numbers up at more or less the same level, like 20 points, 15 PAR, 21, 16 PAR, I think he gets in. But with 11.5 PAR and with the defensive struggles that Baskonia had last season with Marcus Howard, I think that's why he did not get in. But I think Carsen Edwards...
But Bayern has to be in the play-in at least.
Bayern has to be, in the play-in
because if they finish below 11th or 12th, he's not going to be in the conversation.
But the fans also have a big part of the voting, and how many Bayern fans are there in the world, really, when you think about it in basketball?
There are a lot, but they don't know who Carsen Edwards is. They probably focus more on Harry Kane. So
yeah, exactly. So,
the other Bayern.
Yeah. Well, anyways, the last question we have is, will we actually see Vasilije Micic come back to the EuroLeague this season? Not even after the NBA season ends.
I would say absolutely not.
Okay.
I think he's going to take his money and finish the season in the NBA and just run his contract. And then next year, he will have great offers from EuroLeague teams. I can see a lot of teams that would need Vasilije Micic right now. For example, Barcelona would be a perfect fit in my opinion. I don't know if they have the money, if they're thinking about this, but right now that would be the best place for him to play and to have a big role.
Even Real Madrid.
Even Real Madrid, yeah. I could see him playing next to Campazzo. That would be an amazing...
he already played next to Shane Larkin. I mean, another small
different
guard.
type of a player, but
for sure.
But yeah, that could be a great duo, dynamic duo.
Nobody needs defense in Madrid anyway, so.
But I don't think it's going to happen this season.
Okay.
Just because of his contract situation, the guaranteed contract that he has, what's like $7 or $8 million.
So you don't think it could get waived? It's too big of a sacrifice?
I don't know what people in Charlotte are thinking.
Yeah. Well, they're not thinking about the playoffs, I don't think.
I don't necessarily think that they are thinking in general, like the way Charlotte is going for the last 20 years ever since the Charlotte Bobcats were introduced. Like, so,
yeah,
it's, maybe for him it's tough to sit on a bench and watch LaMelo Ball take all these crazy shots and not play, but.
Yeah, I don't know.
I agree with Rytis.
You also think? So you also think that it won't happen? I have a feeling that he's enjoying that money, the American lifestyle. He grew his hair out, grew his fucking sentence, man. Grew his hair out.
I thought you were going to let out your English curse words.
What do you mean?
Fucking hell.
Anyways, I just thought, when you see a 2.8 points per game average, he's actually averaging more rebounds than points right now. I looked at his stats. Usually those players don't stick around for very long. Obviously, you would think at the end of the season, but since Charlotte is not thinking about the playoffs, so you said they are not thinking in general, but he's not playing there really. He's playing like 10 minutes, getting a few shots off, and his shape has been off. This NBA stint he had only has made him a bit worse, I feel like. We saw him in the Paris Olympics. He seems a bit out of shape. Like, we saw now...
You're not playing.
Yeah, exactly. We saw Vezenkov come back to the EuroLeague playing pretty much like he never left, but I feel like if he came back, it'd be a bit of a different story, because it would take some time for him to get back to, if he can even get back to the level he was playing at Efes. I'm not sure about that. But anyways, I feel like, he'll just get tired of it, and maybe they'll waive him or something, and he'll come back. Or he'll get a good offer from
if they will
team.
waive him, it's obvious that he's not going to sign another NBA deal.
Yeah.
He would be going back to Europe. But I'm not sure if he'll be waived this season. I think he might just run his contract and become a free agent in the summer. Let's be real. I mean, this man signed with Oklahoma Thunder. He had no business in Charlotte at the time. And then Thunder is a good team. They're competing, but they didn't need him. They felt like he's a good trade asset, and they ship him to Charlotte for Gordon Hayward, which they eventually didn't need either. And now they're happy with what they have with Caruso and everything else. Charlotte Hornets is not the place for a 31-year-old veteran to be.
Yeah. Right, that's it. We have another little topic. There was a screenshot of a DM that Yago dos Santos sent to Mike James a while ago. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Have you seen that? Yeah, he was like, "Oh, you're my favorite player. I can't wait for one day. Maybe we'll play against each other." Do you guys, since we all played basketball at some level in our youth, who would you have messaged? I'm wondering, a private message, if the Instagram and all the other social media was a thing. Who would you have messaged and said, "Man, I hope we play one day against each other"?
So that's basically your childhood basketball idol.
Yeah, so who's that? Who's that?
Mine is Brandon Roy. That was my favorite player growing up. And just because he was my favorite player, and I'm really sad that his career panned out the way it was. But I don't know how I got to like the Blazers, but somehow since they drafted him, I support Blazers, and my Brandon Roy was my favorite player.
Okay.
So I would probably DM him.
Yours is gonna be someone from the 90s, I feel like.
More like 00s and the 90s. Well, if it's 90s, it's gonna be Michael Jordan from early childhood.
Yeah.
But it's not fair to say Michael Jordan. I'm gonna say Allen Iverson, or later in my teenage days and when I was almost a young adult, Manu Ginobili.
Oh yeah. You always showed love towards him.
Man, what a player! Like earlier childhood, Allen Iverson. Later, Manu Ginobili, because I would say he's my favorite player of all time. But I was so influenced by Allen Iverson. He not only he influenced the way I tried to play on the streets, but he influenced the way I dress. He influenced the way, he had an influence on the music I listened to. I mean, Allen Iverson just was a huge cultural influence to that generation of kids.
Yeah. Rytis is just writing to Manu Ginobili, "Hey, I want to catch bats with you."
I would go cycling with him right now, because from his social media, I found out that he does a lot of cycling.
For me, when I was growing up, even though there's a 2-year difference between us, but the NBA stars I saw was like LeBron, Kobe, KD started popping off. I think Derrick Rose was one of those guys in 2011. I was like drooling about, but I didn't ever feel like about those guys like, oh, these are I want to be like them or whatever, because the personalities weren't the most likable. Maybe Kobe's became more likable later on after not after he died, but I mean after the whole story of Mamba mentality became more clear to me.
Basically after Shaq.
Later. So maybe that, but really I was focusing on my local players, and since I really was a big fan of Žalgiris, and Martynas Pocius was one of those guys who was like an athletic guard, and we never saw that in Lithuanian basketball, really, like that athleticism of these like powerful slams and all that. I was always like a big fan of his. I even created my player on my 2K like to look like him with the number 7 and all that. Now he's doing a podcast in our BasketNews Lithuanian version with Donatas, which is a crazy thing now to see him. Sometimes he comes and I'm like, oh, what's up, Martynas, So I would have probably messaged him because it's the most realistic scenario out of all of these suggested here. And well, in some sense, we are working together. Maybe we're not playing against each other basketball, but we are working together now. So it's really cool. Based
on your description, I can say that you would have loved Šarūnas Marčiulionis if you were
if I was old enough
born in that era.
Yeah,
old enough
true.
To see, because if you like athletic guards that dunk and you say that Lithuania doesn't have that type of players, then Marčiulionis was...
From what I've seen, obviously.
Marčiulionis was just insane.
Yeah. Right.
That's it, guys.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Make sure to check out everything we do, because we do a lot. And subscribe, like this video, and we'll see you next week.